How's everyone doing? If you will grant me just a few moments, I promise I won't be before you long. And I really don't have anything prepared so much. It's already prepared on my heart. And I just want to talk. Is that okay?
Yes.
And if I had to put a topic to it for you, it would be talk to your people. I came out here a few weeks ago to do a Black History Month story about this amazing edifice here with Mr. James and Miss Oldham. And I was blown away at the history, blown away at just what it took. And you saw that amazing video, right? How many of you did like I did as he brought that beadboard up and put it right there? You watched right where it went, right? That is amazing. That is a gift that this board has given to this community. This building that meant so much to so many people is still standing here today. Many of you, and I salute all of you who have graduated from this school, and some of you who say you were here in the 50s and the 60s. God bless you. That is awesome. Give them a round of applause, please. I remember asking Ms. Oldham when I interviewed her, do the younger people realize what they have? And that's where the problem is. They need to know. They need to know that even before this building, it didn't look like this exactly back then, but back then when it was built, it was state of the art. Back then it was better than the shack Miss Oldham said that had drafts coming in and water leaking from the roofs, right? But you did the best you could with what you had. My challenge to all of you is talk to your people. Now let's get a roll call real quick. Anybody in the building? And Bryson, where you at? Let me interview you real quick. What's your name?
Bryson Leonard.
What school you go to?
Rosenwald Elementary. The new middle school.
All right, how old are you?
11.
You're doing an awesome job, all right? Keep it up. What do you want to do when you grow up?
Be a famous soccer player.
Famous soccer player. What else? I put him on the spot. Give it up for Bryson, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that name. Kids Bryson's age need to know what this was. Kids Bryson's age need to know that when he's out on the soccer field scoring goals, he's doing so while standing on your shoulders because you paved the way. I remember my parents are from Florence, South Carolina, and I remember going there as a kid, and there not being a whole lot to do because there weren't any televisions that I could watch at the time. I think they only got 2 or 3 channels, and I came across a bookcase that had these books on it.
Oh, wow.
Fun with Dick and Jane. And as a kid, I'm like, okay, this is interesting, you know, so read some of the stories, and some of them were a little fun. Dick went to the hen house. But at the time, it was something I could grasp. And then, when I found out this was my dad's book, this is how my dad learned to read. And now I'm sitting at the same age my dad was with the same book he had.
Come on.
And I'm learning the same stories he learned. Now the book looks something like this, maybe a little worse. Because when we got the books, they had been passed down from the white school. So they weren't in tip-top condition. But guess what? Didn't matter. They read. You got the idea of the story. You were able to read. You had something to entertain yourself. And I read these, and I loved reading these books. This is something they have here. This is something we can share with a whole nother generation of people. But we got to talk to them. We have to impress upon them how important your life is. Now, if we just let them, they won't really grasp it. They won't really care if we just let it go. They're not going to come to us necessarily and say, Grandma, Grandpa, Mimi, Papa, what was life like when you were growing up? But we've got to set up opportunities so we can have these kinds of conversations. Because as Langston Hughes, I think, said, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. Has it been for you? They need to know that. They need to know that despite life not being a crystal stair, we were still able to take those steps on what we had and rise above. They need to know that some of you, with fewer resources than what I had, did so much more, made so much with your lives. And you're much more proud of it because of how far you had to come. They have to know the stories, and you have to tell them. I'm almost done. If I had this chair, and I brought this chair, come here, Jaden, and I said, Jaden, have a seat. I know the condition of this chair before she sits in it. And I know that in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that leg is going to break and that chair is going to fall to the ground. Would I be a good parent? Why would I do that to my child whom I love, right? You can have a seat. Then why are we doing the same things by not talking to our people? Why are we not talking about those things that maybe we overcame, but some of the things that we didn't that could come back and hurt them in the future? Why aren't we talking about healthy habits, healthy eating habits that have caused countless of our loved ones to expire too early and prevent them from doing the same thing rather than glorifying and say, it's okay, you'll be all right. That's what we've always done. We gotta be all right. We gotta talk about all of it. We gotta let the generations before us know where we excelled, and we gotta let them know where we can do better. We need to talk about those traumas that we experienced, those traumas that hurt us, those traumas that caused us to reach out at them in a certain way as well. It's not right. We didn't mean any harm by it, but that's just the way I was raised. It's not right, but that's all we know. Do we want a better generation, or are we building a generation on a foundation that only has 3 legs and one of them is wobbly? It's up to us. We have got to talk to each other. We have got to set up opportunities to pass on wisdom, pass on knowledge, and pass on common sense. I am so grateful to be here. I am so grateful, so proud of what you all have done with this building. Please give yourselves a round of applause. My father passed away over a year ago now, and he was my superhero. It brought me a sense of relief about 2 months ago when I came across an interview that I did. I'm an interviewer. That's what I do. That's what I do for my job. So about 10 years ago, I had the foresight to sit down, put a microphone on my dad, roll the camera, and start a conversation. And I'm so glad that I did. Looking back, just hearing his voice, hearing his laugh, it was medicine. Hearing him talk about picking cotton, being able to share that story with his grandchildren, my kids. But I know the sacrifices that were made for him so that he could put me in places that he didn't get a chance to be. I know about the sacrifices now that I make for my children so they don't have to be in the places that I may have been. Every generation does better or tries to do better. It's what we do. So I had that conversation. I had another one with my aunt who also recently passed away. You won't imagine how valuable those things are now to be able to reach back and even share them with certain ones who weren't there in the room, who now get to hear her voice, who now get to hear what she thought of them. Talk to your people. If you got one of these, raise your hand. All right? If you have a feature on there where you have a camera, raise your hand. If you know how to work the camera, raise your hand. Doesn't have to be fancy. If you can get you a tripod, if you have one, fine. If you're not, just sit it up on the table somewhere and set it up and start talking. Even if you don't have a young person in your life, set it up, talk to yourself. Talk to them on the camera. Set it up and record. Hey, I don't know what you're doing, but this is what I want to, this is what Raphael told me to talk to you, so I'm going to talk to you. Back in the year 1925, I was walking uphill both ways to school. But it's important. It's important that they hear it from you. They see it from you. And we continue to let them know about this legacy. Otherwise, you're going to have young people who say, I can't do this, Dad. I want to be a filmmaker, but I can't because I only have the iPhone 13 and I want the iPhone 17. They need to know that throughout our history, we didn't have the best, but we did the best with what we had. And look at what that offering has become. And we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to build upon that. But unless they have that foundation that says, I know that I can do more because I see what Mr. James knows did at the Rosenwald School. I see how together our community pooled its resources and got under one mind and created this event. So talk to your people. There's one thing I want each of you to do right now. If you don't do anything else, I want you to do this. I want you to promise me, promise yourself, that in the next little bit, you are going to take out this device and drop a jewel. I made a business out of capturing people's thoughts, out of doing what I did for my family with my father and my aunt. I come around and I do that. You may not have the experience in editing, no problem, I do that for you. You may not have the best equipment, it's okay, I've invested in something, I'll do that for you. You may not know how to put it all together, I do that for you. But you lose the gold, you lose the treasure if you don't have the conversation. Do me a favor and talk